Elena fought to maintain diplomatic composure as Council security drones escorted her through the crystalline corridors. Fellow diplomats from species that had shared knowledge and broken bread with humanity for centuries now turned away, their various sensory organs averted in gestures of disgust or fear. Only the HFY representative, third scholar of depths, made brief eye contact, a subtle movement of their translucent fins, suggesting uncertainty rather than condemnation. Ambassador Reyes, you are permitted one secure transmission before departing Council space, announced the security chief, a Volcran whose chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the ambient light. Your vessel awaits at docking port 7. Elena nodded curtly, her mind racing. The evidence Zexteri had presented seemed incontrovertible. Human quantum signatures at the void's edge. Yet Earth had authorized no such expedition. Someone had either fabricated this evidence with exceptional skill, or human vessels had indeed breached the forbidden zone without official sanction. In the privacy of a communication chamber, Elena initiated an encrypted channel to Earth Defense Command. Admiral Chen's weathered face appeared almost instantly, suggesting he'd been awaiting her call. They've declared war, Elena stated without preamble. All Council species except the HFY voted in favor. We have perhaps 48 hours before the first military actions begin. Chen's expression remained impassive, but Elena noted the tightening around his eyes. The evidence they presented. Compelling, but impossible. No human expedition to the void has been authorized in my lifetime. Not through official channels, Chen said quietly. Elena's breath caught. Marcus, tell me we didn't actually violate Council law. The situation is complicated. Implement diplomatic protocol Obsidian. Scrub your ship's logs before departure and take an indirect route to the rendezvous coordinates. The screen flickered as Chen transmitted a set of coordinates that Elena memorized instantly. What am I walking into, Admiral? The truth, he replied simply. And it's far worse than a mere treaty violation. The transmission ended, leaving Elena with more questions than answers. As she prepared to board her diplomatic vessel, a slender figure emerged from an alcove, a junior Meridian diplomat she recognized from previous sessions. Ambassador, the Meridian whispered, their bioluminescent patterns dimmed to near invisibility. Not all of my kind support this action. The void has been changing. Some of us have noticed, but questioning the Supreme Counselor is forbidden. Before Elena could respond, the figure slipped away, melting into the shadows as a patrol of security drones rounded the corner. The encounter lasted mere seconds, but it confirmed her suspicions. This conflict had been engineered, not provoked. Aboard her ship, Elena found her human crew already preparing for emergency departure. Captain Sanjay Mehta, a veteran of the diplomatic corps, met her at the airlock. Orders, Ambassador, he asked, his calm demeanor belying the gravity of the situation. Set course for the Cygnus trading hub, then prepare for a series of randomized jumps before reaching our actual destination, Elena instructed, entering the bridge, and initiate Obsidian protocols immediately. Mehta nodded grimly, understanding the implications. Obsidian meant Earth's highest security alert, and the assumption that they were already at war. As the sleek diplomatic vessel detached from the Council station, Elena watched the glittering structure recede through the viewport. For 3 millennia, the Galactic Council had maintained peace among the stars. Now that peace had shattered, and humanity stood accused of the transgression. But as her ship accelerated toward the jump point, Elena recalled Zexteri's satisfied expression and the young Meridian's whispered warning. This war hadn't begun with a human expedition to the void. It had started long ago, in the ancient calculations of a species preparing to sacrifice the galaxy for their own ascension. And somehow, humanity had become their greatest obstacle. Admiral Chen dismissed his senior staff, waiting until the command center's doors sealed before activating the quantum-secure protocols that would prevent any surveillance. Only Kai Levinson remained, the young physicist fidgeting nervously with his datapad. "Show me the complete simulation again," Chen ordered, his voice steady despite the weight of what he had already seen. Kai nodded, projecting a three-dimensional model of the galactic arm. Points of light representing inhabited star systems glowed with warm hues, nearly 8,000 worlds spanning dozens of species. The simulation began to run, showing energy patterns flowing from the edges of normal space toward the sacred void. We first detected the anomaly when analyzing background radiation data collected by deep space probes, Kai explained. Standard procedure for mapping potential colony sites. But the numbers didn't add up. Cosmic microwave levels were declining in certain sectors. Chen watched as the simulation accelerated, showing centuries compressed into minutes. Stars at the periphery began to dim slightly as energy drained away. The effect was minimal until approximately 200 years ago. Kai continued, adjusting the display. That's when we see the harvesting rate increase exponentially. The Admiral frowned, coinciding with humanity's expansion beyond our home system. Precisely. As our colonies spread, the Meridians accelerated their operation. Kai highlighted several sectors where the energy drain appeared most intense. At current extraction rates, these systems will experience noticeable effects within decades: increased stellar instability, heightened radiation, eventual planetary ecosystem collapse. Chen's expression hardened. And the final outcome. Kai hesitated before adjusting the simulation to its endpoint. The display showed an expanding wave of darkness replacing the vibrant star systems, a void that consumed everything in its path. Complete entropic cascade, the physicist said quietly. Stars burn out prematurely. Planets freeze. Galactic arm collapses. Conservative estimate: 87% of all life in this section of the galaxy extinguished within a century. Chen stared at the simulation, the countless lives represented by those fading points of light weighing on him. And the Meridians know this. They must. The mathematics are unambiguous. A soft alert chimed, indicating a priority transmission. Chen accepted it, and Dr. Singh's face appeared on screen, her expression tense. Admiral, we've completed the analysis of the void's boundary fluctuations, she reported. The data confirms our worst fears. The Meridians aren't just harvesting null entropy. They're converting it into what we can only describe as dimensional folding energy. In plain language, Doctor, Chen prompted. They're creating a gateway to another dimensional plane, Singh clarified. The ascension they've referenced in their ancient texts isn't metaphorical. It's literal. They intend to evolve beyond our universe entirely, leaving the rest of us to face the consequences of their harvesting, Chen concluded grimly. Singh nodded. There's something else. We've detected communications between their harvesting stations and vessels near several human colonies. They're coordinating the initial strikes of this war with precision. The implications clicked into place for Chen. This isn't just about our discovery of their operation. They've been planning this for a long time. Yes, but why now? Singh asked. They've maintained the harvesting for millennia. What changed? Kai cleared his throat. I believe I found the answer in their astronomical calculations. He adjusted the display to show a complex orbital pattern. There's a cosmic alignment occurring over the next 5 years, a confluence of dark energy fields that significantly reduces the power needed for dimensional transition. If they miss this window, Chen began, they'll have to wait approximately 50,000 years for the next opportunity, Kai finished. The Meridians aren't declaring war because they discovered us near the void. They're declaring war because they're ready for their ascension, and we're the only species that poses a significant threat to their plans. Chen absorbed this information, his mind already calculating possible responses. Humanity was outmatched technologically and numerically, facing an enemy that had spent thousands of years preparing for this moment. Contact Ambassador Reyes, he ordered. Direct her to the Europa facility once she reaches the rendezvous point. Then implement the Diaspora Protocol. All colonies are to initiate immediate evacuation procedures. As Kai left to carry out these orders, Chen remained alone with the simulation of a dying galaxy. 3,000 years of peace had been built on a foundation of cosmic exploitation, and now humanity stood as the unwitting last line of defense for all life in the galactic arm. The admiral straightened his uniform with a practiced gesture, a habit from decades of military service. War had come, not from human aggression or territorial ambition, but from the discovery of a terrible truth. And in this war, retreat was not an option, not when the cost of defeat would be measured in extinctions. Mateo Rodriguez wiped grime from his face as he surveyed the makeshift command center he and his team had established in New Appalachia's abandoned maintenance level. The hum of repurposed mining equipment filled the cavernous space, providing both power and background noise that helped mask their presence from Council scanning technology. "Status update," he requested, turning to Sofia Novak, who was hunched over a jury-rigged communications array. "Still receiving transmissions from the diaspora network," she replied, adjusting a dial with practiced precision. "Colony on Proxima Centauri Beta has gone silent. Europa facility reports successful evacuation. Admiral Chen's broadcasts continue on the emergency frequency." Mateo nodded, refusing to let the growing list of lost colonies affect his focus. "And our projection system? Online and functional," answered Jiro Tanaka, the colony's former security chief. "We've successfully projected false quantum signatures to 3 different locations. Council ships diverted to investigate all 3. Before Mateo could respond, the ground trembled slightly. Another bombing run on the planet's surface. The Council forces seemed determined to reduce every human settlement to rubble, unaware that the true population had retreated underground days before the first attack. "They're getting closer to our primary air recycler," Sofia noted with concern. "We expected that," Mateo reassured her. "The secondary systems are already handling 60% of our needs. If they hit the primary, we activate the tertiary system in Section 12. He crossed to a crude holographic display constructed from salvaged entertainment system components. It showed the underground network of tunnels and caverns that now house the colony survivors, along with the positions of Council forces on the surface. "Their search pattern is becoming more systematic," Jiro observed. "They've deployed seismic sensors along the northern quadrant." Mateo allowed himself a small smile. "Exactly where we wanted them to focus. The mineral deposits in that sector will generate enough false readings to keep them busy for weeks." He turned as Elise Kagawa, the colony's lead engineer before the invasion, emerged from a side tunnel. Her face was streaked with machine oil, but her eyes shone with triumph. "It works," she announced without preamble. "The quantum resonance disruption field is operational. We can now mask our energy signatures completely within a 2-kilometer radius." A cheer went up from the assembled survivors. This development meant they could power up additional systems without fear of detection, including their communication array at full strength. "Send word to the other resistance cells," Mateo instructed Sofia. "Share the schematics through the diaspora network. Every human enclave needs this technology." As Sofia worked, Mateo's personal communicator chimed with a distinctive pattern, a priority message on the resistance leadership frequency. He stepped away from the others, activating the quantum encrypted channel. Lieutenant Commander Wu's face appeared, the transmission grainy but intelligible. "Rodriguez, we need your expertise. My fleet has captured Council terraforming equipment that could be repurposed for our defense systems." "What kind of equipment?" Mateo asked, his mind already calculating possibilities. "Atmospheric manipulators, gravitational stabilizers, and something their manifests identify as reality anchors," Wu replied. "The technical specifications are beyond our understanding, but they appear designed to counteract spatial distortions." Mateo's heart raced. Reality anchors. Those could be crucial. The Meridians use similar technology around the void's perimeter. "My thoughts exactly," Wu nodded. "How soon can you rendezvous with us at the coordinates I'm transmitting?" Mateo glanced back at his team, considering what they had built here and what opportunities might lie with Wu's fleet. "I'll need 3 days to ensure the colony systems are fully autonomous. Then I can bring a small engineering team. 3 days, Wu confirmed. We'll hold position. Wu out. As the transmission ended, Matteo found Sophia standing nearby, having overheard the conversation. "You're leaving," she said. It wasn't a question. "Not abandoning," he clarified. "Expanding. Wu has captured technology it could give us a fighting chance, not just to hide, but to actively counter the Meridians." Sophia considered this, then nodded slowly. "Take Elise and Juro. I'll maintain operations here with the rest of the team." "There's more," Matteo added, lowering his voice. "The reality anchors Wu mentioned, they might be the key to understanding how the void harvesting works. If we can reverse engineer them, we could potentially disrupt the entire Meridian operation." Sophia finished, eyes widening at the implication. Matteo nodded, feeling a surge of purpose that transcended mere survival. Throughout human history, resistance movements had succeeded not through matching their oppressor's strength, but by identifying and exploiting critical vulnerabilities. As he turned to inform his team of the new mission, Matteo felt something he hadn't experienced since the first bombs fell: genuine hope. The Council forces expected humans to behave like every other conquered species, to retreat, regroup, and eventually surrender when the cost became too great. They had failed to account for humanity's most defining trait: the ability to adapt, innovate, and transform defeat into opportunity. And that mistake would prove to be the first crack in the Meridian's carefully constructed plan. Dr. Amara Singh watched with growing fascination as Elijah Okonkwo manipulated the holographic model of null entropy flow. The teenager's hands moved with intuitive precision, as though he could feel the currents of energy that most scientists could only visualize through complex equations. "You see it, don't you?" Elijah asked without looking up. "The pattern isn't just extraction, it's translation. The Meridians aren't simply removing energy, they're converting it into something else entirely." Singh nodded, her skepticism about working with someone so young fading with each passing moment. The conversion creates dimensional folding energy, but there's significant waste in their process. Nearly 30% of the harvested null entropy dissipates during translation. "Exactly," Elijah said, eyes bright with realization. "And that inefficiency is our opportunity." Admiral Chen observed their exchange from the back of the laboratory, a rare smile forming on his weathered face. When Commander Ishida had first suggested evacuating the young prodigy from Liva's orbital academy, Chen had been doubtful. Brilliant the boy might be, but they needed practical solutions, not theoretical physics. Now he understood Ishida's insistence. Elijah didn't just understand the mathematics, he intuited them, perceiving patterns that had eluded Singh's team for months. "If we introduce a carefully calibrated inversion field at this junction," Elijah continued, highlighting a specific point in the energy flow, "we can create a recursive loop in their harvesting system. The null entropy they extract would fold back into itself." Singh's eyes widened as she followed his logic. They'd be harvesting their own output, creating diminishing returns with each cycle. And eventually, Elijah concluded, the system would collapse entirely. Chen stepped forward. "Can this inversion field be weaponized? Deployed against the void harvesting operation?" Singh considered the question, making rapid calculations on her datapad. "Theoretically, yes. We'd need to construct a device that could generate the field at precisely the right frequency. The engineering challenges are significant, but not insurmountable." "Then let's call it Project Prometheus," Chen decided. "Dr. Singh, you'll oversee development. Elijah, continue refining the theoretical model. I want a working prototype as soon as possible." As Chen left the laboratory, his communicator signaled an incoming transmission from Lieutenant Commander Wu. He accepted it in the privacy of his office. "Admiral," Wu reported, her face showing controlled excitement despite the poor transmission quality, "my fleet has secured Council terraforming equipment, including devices they call reality anchors. Engineer Rodriguez from New Appalachia believes they may be similar to technology the Meridians use around the void. Chen leaned forward. Reality anchors. Explain. They appear designed to stabilize spacetime in regions experiencing dimensional instability. Wu replied. Rodriguez is already working to reverse engineer them. He thinks they might be crucial to approaching the void safely. This could be the breakthrough we need, Chen said. The weapon Dr. Singh is developing must be deployed at the heart of the void to be effective. We'll need that technology to get there. After ending the transmission, Chen accessed the secure files Ambassador Reyes had been sending through their covert network. Her diplomatic efforts were bearing fruit. 7 species now secretly questioned the Meridian narrative, though only 3 had explicitly offered assistance. The pieces were coming together, but time was running dangerously short. Council forces continued systematically eliminating human colonies, and intelligence suggested the Meridians were accelerating their harvesting operation. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts, a priority alert from the long-range sensor network. Chen's expression darkened as he reviewed the data. A massive Meridian fleet had just departed Council space, heading directly for the Rigel 9 neutron star system, the only location where they could manufacture the specialized quantum oscillator needed for Project Prometheus. Someone had leaked information about their plans. There was a traitor in their network. Chen initiated emergency protocols, sending encrypted warnings to all resistance cells. Then he returned to the laboratory, where Singh and Elijah remained absorbed in their work, unaware that their timeline had just shrunk from weeks to days. We need to accelerate the project, Chen announced, interrupting their discussion. And we need a new plan for manufacturing the quantum oscillator. The Meridians know about Rigel 9. Singh's expression shifted from confusion to grim determination. The oscillator requires specific gravitational conditions. There are only 3 other neutron stars in accessible space with the necessary properties. Then we'll need to divide their forces, Chen decided. Lieutenant Commander Wu will coordinate a series of diversionary attacks while a specialized team secures one of the alternative sites. As they began formulating this desperate new strategy, Elijah continued manipulating the holographic model, his young face solemn with understanding beyond his years. The weapon they were creating wouldn't just save humanity, it would determine the fate of countless species across the galactic arm. And somewhere in their network of allies and informants, someone was betraying them all to the Meridians. Ambassador Elinga Reyes stood in the observation deck of the Atlari flagship, the vast insectoid vessel unlike anything humans had designed. Crystalline viewports revealed the assembled Alliance fleet, an improbable collection of ships from species that weeks ago had been enemies. Your strategy is bold, Ambassador, observed Hive Commander Vex Ella, the Atlari leader whose compound eyes shifted through iridescent colors as she spoke. To openly challenge the Meridians at 3 separate neutron star systems simultaneously. Division of forces is our only advantage, Elena replied. The Meridians outnumber us, but they cannot be everywhere at once. The Shamirian representative, a swirling vortex of luminous gases contained within a specialized environment suit, pulsed with patterns that the translation system interpreted as concern. Our collective intelligence suggests Supreme Counselor Zex Terry has deployed his personal guard to the Callus neutron star. He suspects this is your true target. Elena allowed herself a small smile. Then our deception is working. In truth, Lieutenant Commander Wu's fleet was preparing to secure the Magellan neutron star, the most distant of the 3 potential sites. The other 2 operations were carefully constructed diversions, designed to split the Meridian response. Each fleet contained just enough firepower to appear legitimate without sacrificing essential resources. The crystalline Quantary representative chimed softly, its faceted body refracting light across the chamber. We have intercepted communications from the Meridian High Command. They are concerned about defections among Council species. Internal security measures have been heightened, which makes our next move even more dangerous, Elena acknowledged. But necessary. She activated the central holographic display, showing the intricate dance of gravitational forces around the Magellan neutron star. Mateo Rodriguez and his engineering team have successfully reverse-engineered the reality anchors. They can now modify them to create a stable manufacturing platform in the star's gravity well. The timeline remains problematic, noted third scholar of depths, the HFY representative. Even with the anchors, constructing the quantum oscillator requires precise conditions that can only be maintained for 17 minutes per rotation cycle. Which is why we need your help, Elena said, turning to face the gathered representatives. Each of your species brings unique capabilities that humanity lacks alone. The Atlari's hive mind processing can calculate gravitational fluctuations faster than our computers. The Chimerian's gaseous form can operate in radiation environments fatal to solid beings. The Quantari's crystalline structures can focus energy with unprecedented precision. Hive Commander Vexella's appendages click thoughtfully. You propose direct involvement, not merely support from a distance. I do, Elena confirmed. This isn't just humanity's fight anymore. You've all seen the data. The Meridian harvesting operation threatens all life in our galactic arm. The chamber fell silent as the representatives communicated with their respective command structures. Elena waited, maintaining the composed demeanor that had served her through countless diplomatic challenges. Yet beneath that calm exterior, anxiety gnawed at her. Without their alien allies' direct assistance, Wu's mission had minimal chance of success. The Chimerian was first to respond, its gaseous form pulsing with determination. The Sixth Confluence has authorized full participation. Our specialized environment units will protect your engineers during oscillator construction. One by one, the others pledged their support, each offering unique resources and expertise. As the Alliance solidified its plans, a priority transmission arrived from Admiral Chen. The representatives fell silent as his weathered face appeared on the central display. Ambassador, we've identified the source of the intelligence leak, Chen reported, his expression grave. The Meridian leadership has been using psychic interrogation on captured Council species. 3 members of the Volcran diplomatic corps were taken during the initial conflict. They knew fragments of our plans. Elena felt both relief and concern. Relief that there wasn't a deliberate traitor in their network, but concern about the implications. Can the Meridians extract information from any captured Alliance member? Not from humans, Chen clarified. Our neurological structure resists their techniques, but any other species remains vulnerable. Hive Commander Vexella stepped forward. The Atlari hive mind offers a solution. We can establish temporary psychic links with key personnel from allied species, creating mental barriers against Meridian intrusion. The Chimerian representative pulsed with surprise. Such links were forbidden by Council law for millennia. We no longer recognize Council law, Vexella replied simply. The Meridians have broken the covenant that bound us. We must adapt or perish. Elena watched as former enemies discussed sharing their most closely guarded biological secrets to protect each other. 3,000 years of peace might have ended, but something new was emerging from the conflict. A genuine alliance based not on fear or manipulation, but on shared purpose and mutual need. As the representatives finalized their preparations, Elena's thoughts turned to Lieutenant Commander Wu and her fleet, already en route to the Magellan neutron star. Everything depended on their success in constructing the quantum oscillator. Without it, Project Prometheus would remain an elegant theory, unable to challenge the Meridian harvesting operation. And somewhere at the heart of the void, the Ascension Gate continued drawing energy from the universe around it, counting down to a transformation that would leave the rest of the galaxy in darkness. The Firewalker_ trembled as it penetrated deeper into the void, its quantum-phased hull fluctuating between states of existence. Admiral Chen sat rigid in the command chair, monitoring systems that reported impossible readings. Space itself seemed to thin around them, fundamental constants shifting in ways that defied conventional physics. Hull integrity at 78%, Dr. Singh reported, her voice steady despite the strain evident in her eyes. Quantum superposition field holding, but the variance is increasing. We're approaching the theoretical limit. In the third seat, Elijah Okonkwo's fingers danced across holographic controls, adjusting calculations in real time. The void structure is changing faster than our models predicted. There's an energy surge building ahead of us, massive and unlike anything we've encountered. Through the viewports, the darkness had given way to streaks of iridescent energy that twisted in non-Euclidean patterns. Navigation systems struggled to maintain coherence as basic concepts like distance and direction became increasingly relative. Prometheus fire status, Chen asked, keeping his voice level despite the mounting tension. Stable, Singh confirmed. The quantum oscillator that Lieutenant Commander Wu's team constructed is performing perfectly. The weapon should function as designed when we reach our target. Chen nodded, thoughts briefly turning to Wu and her fleet. The battle at the Magellan neutron star had been costly. 3 human vessels lost and an Adlari cruiser critically damaged. But they had succeeded, manufacturing the oscillator in the 17-minute window provided by the modified reality anchors. The component had been rushed to the Firewalker just hours before launch. The Alliance fleet now engaged the Meridian forces at the Void's perimeter, creating the diversion needed for the Firewalker's approach. Reports before they entered Deep Void communications blackout indicated heavy fighting, with losses on both sides. Ambassador Rice was coordinating the battle from the Adlari flagship, her diplomatic skills now turned to warfare by necessity. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the small vessel. Energy spiked directly ahead. Elijah reported urgently. The patterns. They're stabilizing into a coherent structure. The swirling chaos outside the viewports parted like a curtain, revealing a sight that left all 3 humans momentarily speechless. A massive spherical construct hung in the impossible space before them, its surface composed of interlocking geometric patterns that shifted and realigned continuously. Energy flowed into it from all directions, creating the impression of a cosmic drain pulling at the fabric of reality itself. "The Ascension Gate," Singh whispered, awe momentarily overcoming her scientific detachment. "It's even more advanced than we theorized." Chen's tactical mind quickly reasserted itself. Distance to optimal deployment point. Elijah checked the calculations, frowning. Approximately 3,000 kilometers. But, Admiral, I'm detecting a power surge within the gate. The energy flow is accelerating dramatically. Singh's expression shifted from awe to alarm as she analyzed the readings. They've initiated the final phase of their ascension protocol. They must have detected our approach somehow. Time estimate, Chen demanded. At current acceleration, Singh replied, her voice tightening. Complete activation in approximately 18 minutes. If they succeed, the resulting energy surge will trigger immediate collapse of space-time throughout this sector. Chen made an instant decision. Full power to engines. Take us in closer. We need to deploy Prometheus fire before they complete the activation sequence. The Firewalker surged forward, its hull shimmering with increasing intensity as the quantum superposition field struggled against the void's distorted physics. Warning indicators flashed across control panels as systems approached their breaking points. "Admiral," Singh said suddenly, "new readings from the gate. There's a..." Her words were cut short as a Meridian vessel materialized directly in their path, somehow navigating the heart of the void without the quantum phase technology that the humans relied upon. The vessel was smaller than typical Meridian warships, but more elegant, its hull bearing ceremonial markings visible even at this distance. "Incoming transmission," Elijah reported, surprise evident in his voice. "They're actually communicating through this distortion." Chen nodded grimly. "Put it through." The cockpit filled with the projected image of Supreme Counselor Zex Terry, his scaled features arranged in an expression that even humans could recognize as condescending amusement. The Meridian's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with complex meanings that the translation system struggled to interpret. "Admiral Chen." Zex Terry's voice resonated with harmonics that seemed to bypass the audio system and vibrate directly in their minds. "Your persistence is remarkable, if ultimately futile. Few species have ever penetrated the void this deeply. None have interrupted an ascension. Chen met the alien's gaze without flinching. "We know what you're doing, counselor. The harvesting operation, the null entropy extraction, it's killing our galaxy." "A temporary inconvenience," Zexteri dismissed. "The affected regions will eventually stabilize in a few million years. A small price for the evolution of consciousness to its next stage. A price paid by others," Chen countered, "without their knowledge or consent." Behind him, Singh and Elijah worked frantically at their stations, preparing Prometheus fire for deployment while keeping their actions concealed from the Meridian's view. They needed only a few more minutes. A philosophical objection from such a young species, Zexteri mused. How charmingly naive. "Evolution has always come at a cost, Admiral. The strong advance, the weak adapt or perish. This is the fundamental law of existence." The Meridian vessel began charging weapons, energy building along its ceremonial hull markings. "Your journey ends here, humans. But take comfort. Your species has earned a footnote in the great ascension of the Meridians. Few others have merited even that much recognition." As the transmission ended, Shen turned to his crew. "Evasive maneuvers. All power to the quantum field. We need to get Prometheus fire within deployment range, no matter the cost." The _Firewalker_ lurched into motion as the first Meridian energy blast seared through the distorted space between them. The _Firewalker_ shuddered violently as another energy blast from Zexteri's vessel grazed their quantum-phased hull. Warning indicators flashed across every console as critical systems approached failure thresholds. "Hull integrity at 42%, Dr. Singh reported, voice steady despite the chaos around them. "One more direct hit and the quantum superposition field will collapse." Admiral Chen executed another evasive maneuver, guiding the _Firewalker_ through a series of impossible turns that utilized the void's distorted physics. "Distance to deployment range." 800 kilometers, Elijah responded, his young face illuminated by the swirling energies visible through the viewports. "But the Ascension Gate's activation sequence is accelerating. Energy throughput has increased by 300% in the last 4 minutes. A sudden impact rocked the vessel, sending cascading failures through secondary systems. Sparks erupted from a junction box near Elijah's station, and the teenager cried out as jagged metal tore through his environment suit. Chen watched in horror as the young prodigy was thrown from his seat, blood spreading rapidly across his chest. "Elijah!" Singh rushed to his side, medical kit already in hand. Pressure breach in his suit, severe laceration across the torso. While Singh worked to stabilize the boy, Chen maintained course toward the deployment zone, even as the ship's structural integrity continued deteriorating around them. Through the viewport, the Ascension Gate pulsed with increasing power, its geometric patterns rotating faster as the final activation approached. "We need a new plan," Singh announced, returning to her station after stabilizing Elijah. "The original deployment parameters won't work now. The gate's energy signature has shifted beyond our projections." Chen frowned. "Meaning?" "Prometheus fire was designed to create a recursive loop in their harvesting system," Singh explained rapidly. "But with the activation sequence already underway, introducing that loop could trigger a cascading feedback effect between dimensions. In plain language, Doctor." Singh's expression was grim. "Vacuum decay, a bubble of altered physical constants that could expand beyond the void, beyond our galaxy. Potentially unstoppable." The implications settled heavily on Chen's shoulders. They had come to save the galaxy, not risk destroying an even larger portion of the universe. "Is there an alternative?" he asked. Singh worked furiously at her console, running simulations. "Yes, we can reconfigure Prometheus fire to create a controlled implosion instead of disrupting their energy flow. Collapse the gate into itself, containing the damage to the void region only. Will that stop the Meridians?" "It will destroy their Ascension Gate and end the immediate threat to our galaxy," Singh confirmed. But there's a catch. The reconfiguration requires manual adjustments during deployment. Someone would need to remain aboard to modulate the implosion sequence. The unspoken truth hung between them. None of them would survive such a mission. Another hit rocked the _Firewalker_ and emergency lighting bathed the cockpit in crimson. Life support failing, the automated system announced. Hull breach imminent. Check the escape pod, Chen ordered. Is it still functional? Singh ran a quick diagnostic. Yes, but its capacity is limited. 2 occupants maximum. Chen made his decision instantly. Prepare Elijah for evacuation. You'll take him in the escape pod while I deploy the weapon. Admiral. Singh began to protest. That's an order, Doctor. Chen cut her off. The Alliance needs your knowledge of null entropy physics, and that boy represents humanity's future. I've lived my life. You too need to survive to ensure this sacrifice means something. As Singh reluctantly began preparations, a massive explosion tore through the ship's midsection. Fire suppression systems activated automatically, filling portions of the corridor with chemical foam. Zex Terry's vessel is making another approach, Chen reported, checking tactical displays. They're targeting our propulsion systems. Singh worked frantically to reconfigure Prometheus Fire while simultaneously preparing the escape pod. Chen maneuvered the damaged _Firewalker_ closer to the ascension gate, using the last of their maneuvering thrusters. Reconfiguration at 80%, Singh announced. But I need at least 3 more minutes to complete the modifications. We don't have 3 minutes, Chen replied grimly, watching Zex Terry's vessel charging weapons again. Singh paused in her work, looking directly at Chen. There's another option. A partial reconfiguration might work if the deployment timing is perfect, but it would require precise manual adjustments based on the gate's energy fluctuations. Can you program those adjustments? No. Someone would need to sense the patterns and respond in real time. Singh's gaze shifted to the semi-conscious Elijah. He's the only one who truly understands the energy flow intuitively. Chen understood the impossible choice before them. Take Elijah in the escape pod and risk failed deployment, or keep him aboard to ensure success, sacrificing humanity's brightest young mind. Before he could respond, Singh made her decision. With swift, deliberate movements, she administered another sedative to Elijah, then to Chen's shock, injected him as well. What are you? Chen began, feeling consciousness already slipping away. Saving both of you, Singh replied simply, catching his collapsing form, and completing our mission. As darkness claimed him, Chen saw Singh's face, serene and resolved, and realized too late what she intended. 1 year after the Battle of the Void, Earth's Grand Amphitheater hosted representatives from every species of the newly formed Galactic Assembly. Sunlight streamed through the transparent dome, illuminating the gathered delegates in natural light, a deliberate architectural choice that symbolized the Assembly's commitment to transparency. Admiral Chen stood at the podium, his uniform adorned with the silver insignia of the United Earth Defense Force, alongside the new emblem of the Galactic Assembly, a spiral galaxy with a bright core, representing unity emerging from darkness. Though physically recovered from his ordeal, the shadows beneath his eyes spoke of wounds that ran deeper than flesh. Today we dedicate this memorial not just to Dr. Amara Singh, Chen began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber, but to all who sacrificed in our struggle against extinction. Human and non-human alike, they gave everything to ensure a future for countless worlds across our galaxy. Before him, the assembled delegates represented the most diverse gathering in known history. Species that had been enemies months earlier now sat side by side, united by their shared experience and the knowledge contained in the open archive, the repository of historical and scientific data contributed by all member worlds. Elena Reyes, now serving as Earth's representative to the Assembly's Governing Council, watched from her position near the front. Beside her sat Elijah Okonkwo, his young face more solemn than it had been before the mission, a thin scar visible above his collar, where the shipboard injury had nearly claimed his life. The singularity that replaced the sacred void has stabilized. Chen continued, referencing the scientific data displayed on screens throughout the chamber. The threat of galactic collapse has been averted. But we must never forget how close we came to extinction, nor what drove us to that precipice. The delegation from the remaining Meridians, those who had opposed their leadership's ascension plan, shifted uncomfortably. Their numbers were few, those who had chosen to remain in normal space rather than follow their leaders into what they now acknowledged had been a catastrophic mistake. The Sing Protocol establishes safeguards against any single species gaining disproportionate influence, Chen explained, highlighting key provisions of the newly ratified agreement. Regular rotation of leadership, transparent voting on all interstellar matters, and perhaps most importantly, the right of all sentient beings to determine their own evolutionary path without interference. As Chen spoke, the main display shifted to show the memorial constructed at the edge of the singularity that had once been the sacred void. A slender spire composed of materials from every member world reached toward the contained darkness, catching light from nearby stars and refracting it in patterns reminiscent of DNA strands. The inscription on the memorial reads, "The price of ascension is not paid by those who ascend," Chen noted. Words that remind us of our responsibility to each other and to future generations. After the formal ceremony concluded, Chen found himself standing with Alina and Elijah at a viewport overlooking Earth. The blue planet rotated serenely below, seemingly unchanged by the cosmic drama that had nearly consumed it. "What happens now?" Elijah asked, his voice carrying the weariness of someone who had seen too much too young. Chen considered the question. "We rebuild. We learn. We ensure this never happens again." "The remaining Meridians have shared their full historical archives," Alina added. "They were once victims of the same process they inflicted on us, exploited by an even more ancient species called the predecessors. A cycle of fear and domination," Chen observed. "One group rises by exploiting another, only to be overthrown and replaced." Elijah turned from the viewport, his expression suddenly animated with the spark of inspiration that had made him essential to their victory. "But we've broken that cycle. The Sing Protocol ensures power rotates among all species. No single group can dominate." "More than that," Alina said, "we've established something unprecedented. Genuine cooperation across biological, cultural, and evolutionary divides." A chime indicated an approaching delegation. Hive Commander Vex Ella of the Atlari led representatives from the Cimmerian, Quantari, and Aquari species, their former battlefield allies now partners in governance. "The council session begins shortly," Vex Ella announced, compound eyes shifting through patterns that the humans had learned indicated respect. "The first item for consideration is Elijah Okonkwo's proposal for interspecies educational exchange." Elijah straightened, suddenly looking more his age, both young and impossibly mature. "The open archive contains knowledge spanning millions of years, contributed by dozens of civilizations. Every species approaches problems differently, perceives reality through unique senses. By learning from each other, we can achieve what none could accomplish alone." As they walked together toward the council chamber, Chen found himself reflecting on Dr. Singh's final transmission. She had known she was sacrificing herself, yet her last act had been to ensure that the knowledge she had gained would benefit all species, not just humanity. 3,000 years of peace had ended with a war that nearly destroyed the galaxy. Now, a new peace began, one built not on secrets and control, but on the recognition that true advancement came not from domination, but from synthesis, cooperation, and mutual respect. The universe, as Alina had said during the darkest days of the conflict, was indeed big enough for everyone to find their own path to the stars.